Welcome to the Secret Art of Business. Today, my guest is Amanda Rango. Amanda, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited about this opportunity.
I'm really excited for you to be here because I want everyone to hear more about ARD Fashion Consulting. So let's just start there. You are the founder and creative director. So what is RD Fashion Consulting about?
So, ARD Fashion Consulting is essentially a business that I kind of started really organically. It was more of just like a freelance business to start. And then essentially, I gained a client that, needed multiple people on the team. And so it was very organic to start,
Mm-hmm.
which, is a nice way to kind of ease
Absolutely.
into it. But I will say, we just had our 3-year anniversary,
Oh my
and
gosh.
today I've really had the opportunity over the last 3 years to really niche down and clarify my ideal client. So today, ARD is a consulting business that helps closely held fashion companies to either launch their brand or to elevate their existing brands. We have kind of two different types of clients. One is startups. So most of my clients, they actually have, no experience or skill set or education in the fashion industry. They just have wonderful ideas and, maybe some marketing background or, varying backgrounds, but they just kind of have this dream of bringing an idea to life. And that's really what I help them do. And then my second type of client is a similar client, but kind of in a different season of their business. So they're usually year 5 to 15,
Mm-hmm.
and they've done the work, they've put in the time, they've learned where they've been able to, but now they're ready to scale. And so they really need someone with, a lot of industry experience to come in and just help assess and identify where they can increase efficiencies or adopt new softwares. It's things that are really second nature to me that I've been doing for the last 25 years, but these folks have never been exposed to that. So it's actually a perfect marriage
Mm-hmm.
of, grit and, people that have been kind of doing it the hard way for that 5 to 10 years. And I'm able to kind of come in and my objective, I'm a huge yogi. So my objective is to bring like ease and harmony to a process that people have really just kind of been grinding through and struggling with, to really just open the doors for growth and new possibilities to grow their business.
And I love all of that because I know how smart you are. Because our paths did cross when we were both working for, let's just say, a Fortune 100 company.
Yeah.
And so you, as you kind of breezed past, have been doing this for a very, very long time. And I'm curious as to how you got into that. I see that you started as a student of CCAD.
Yep.
And what was your degree in?
Yeah, so I have a fashion degree in fashion
Perfect.
design. Yep. So I grew up in Northeast Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up on a farm. My dad is third generation, my brother's fourth generation. A lot of creativity and entrepreneurship kind of in my blood. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I wanted to leave my small town and come to Columbus, which at the time was like a big city. So came to CCAD, just absolutely adored my experience there. Most of my probably best friends for the last 25 years are my classmates, and actually two of them are my roommates from freshman year. So lots of lasting relationships. And when I was at CCAD, I think I was like junior year, and they were very encouraging about doing an internship, and that's really where I got my foot in the door with corporate companies. I did a couple internships, which again were just so amazing because regardless of where you get your education, what you're learning, the application is really where the magic starts to happen. So
Absolutely.
the way that I was able to, kind of teeter back and forth from the educational route and then combine that with, actual experience, on a team, kind of getting my feet wet was just so exhilarating for me. So I really interned, I think from my junior year all the way till I graduated. So that's kind of where I started
Mm-hmm.
in kind of my corporate path. I stayed on that path and kind of, climbed that corporate ladder for 20 years. A lot of ups and downs, couple twists and turns. Most of
That is retail.
my God, yeah, not for the faint of heart.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, learned a lot, and really, I consider those 20 years to be the boot camp that I didn't even know was preparing me for what I was going to do today, because I'm very calculated. Like I'm very planful. I like to know the next step. I like to have a goal. I like to, strategize how I'm going to get there. Entrepreneurship is nothing like that. I think, just the corporate experience, it's what I needed before I kind of had that confidence to, really step away from that environment and really try it on my own. So,
Yeah, you talked about two things I'm going to highlight. One is internships. So I'm just going to say aloud, if people didn't get that,
yep.
please give people internships because they need experience in order to get a job, which sounds a little ridiculous because
I
you're
know.
giving them a job to give them a job. But people anymore want experience, actual hands-on experience. And if you can give that opportunity, that is always fantastic. And the other thing is working for a corporation, perhaps before you start your entrepreneurship, because why not get that boot camp experience, that master's degree, if you will, on someone else's dime?
Yep.
And it will teach you so much. And I preach that all the time. I refer to a lot of my past experience as my boot camp. I could not have started a business had I not known, for example, how to read a spreadsheet, which I may not have gotten the opportunity to if I had stayed the course of just a smaller company or something like that. So,
Right.
and even
Yep.
small companies can give you a lot of experience too, because sometimes with a smaller group, you are exposed to a little more transparency. But it was part of the job for us to know all of that, like how the company worked, in order to be able to contribute more in our role.
Yeah. And I will say, I spend a lot of time, because I had such a strong influence when I was still in school, and just the importance and the impact of those internships. I spend a lot of time at OSU and CCAD, and just trying to connect with students and
Mm-hmm.
share anything that I can. And that's actually one of the number one questions that I have students ask is, do you think, I need to do the corporate, kind of pipeline in order to open my own business or be an entrepreneur? And, I can only speak for myself, but my answer is always, for me, it was absolutely vital,
Mm-hmm.
because if I didn't have that knowledge, I wouldn't have the confidence
Yeah.
to step out and feel like, okay, I can figure this out on my own. So I think definitely, there's such a massive shift with students over the
I would
last
agree.
few years. Just they're more interested in, having their own business or launching their own line, or, developing their own company.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm, doing what I can to foster that creativity and that curiosity. But also, a little slap of reality, like make sure you, know what you're doing, or, how do you continue your own education?
Right.
There's so much, even in this city, with entrepreneurship, and, whether you're a male or a female, or, you want to be in a group. There's, I'm with the C Plus retail networking group. I'm with WSBA, which is more female driven. Like,
Yes.
there's just so many places that you can, continue to cultivate that curiosity, and keep learning to feel more.
Absolutely, because you can only learn so much in school.
Yeah.
I mean, it is 4 years, but a lot of it is some other stuff too. But
Mhm.
to just see how it all works from start to finish, you're kind of going in heads up with some knowledge of how it works. But when you see it all happen on a bigger scale,
Yep.
it'll kind of blow your mind. But you're going to learn so much. And I'm just saying, if you want to be an entrepreneur, that's awesome. Maybe
Yep.
give it 3 to 5 years. Like I said, working with somebody else,
Yeah.
the same amount of time you gave to college, really, and just and also too, you'll be able to network and meet other people and things like that. So it's great to kind of again get that experience. But before we leave that track a little bit. You do professionally speak at OSU, so I wanted to at least give you a shout out for that because, if people want to hear about your path more in depth, you're definitely giving back to the students in that regard. So I do appreciate that, and I think it's definitely worth mentioning because I
Oh,
also
thank
like to
you
see what
so
people
much.
kind of do as their side hustle too, just kind of for fun and things like that as well. Speaking of fun, though, we're going to back up even more. When you were a kid, what did you do for fun? I know you got into fashion. I mean, did you do things when you were younger that involved, or were there other things that you just really gravitated towards?
So I would say because I grew up on a farm, most of my fun was outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
So it was exploring, and my dad was a farmer, so there were many days where we would kind of hang out in the truck as dad was out in the field, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just exploring. My dad still lives on that farm. It's a huge 500-acre farm, so there's
Wow.
just there's so many woods and creeks and fields,
Oh, that sounds so
and
fun.
our swing set. And I would say probably one of my most core memories of like creativity is like helping with a garden. So my grandmother and my mom did a garden together because we all lived on the farm together. My grandfather was the farmer before my dad, and so I think that's kind of my creative outlet even now,
Mm-hmm.
is to just get outside, get in the dirt, plant things, and really kind of foster more of that like playful creative side. Now that I'm, running a business, like
Right.
business side of
Yeah.
things can really suck your creativity sometimes.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, I definitely have to remind myself sometimes to really kind of feed into that creativity and keep that playfulness and the fun and all those things that I loved in childhood, to just stay balanced and not get too driven and passionate around, goal setting and achieving. And I think one other memory I have too is my grandmother on my mom's side. So she was crafty. I mean, so crafty. So she would do craft projects with me. I would go stay with her. She actually lives in Indiana. I remember she helped me sew my first bucket hat. It was like this
Oh,
gorgeous, like vintage floral. It was so cool. I wish I still had it. But I think, just creativity in general was huge in a lot of influences, but on both sides of my family. My mom also had like a gift shop when I was a kid. She
oh,
ran this
cool.
like beautiful Victorian gift shop that I worked in, and that kind of fed my knack for like decorating and interior. I do think I had a lot of creative outlet for play and just, crafting and creativity. So it's always kind of been in my blood.
Cool. But you really honed in on fashion. What was the thing about fashion that really got you excited?
So it's kind of ironic because I went to a teeny tiny high school, and I'm talking like 400 kids.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't have great art programs. Shout out to Miss Dennis. She was the only art teacher. She created a lot of independent studies for me so that I could just sort of try and branch out, beyond art one and art two. So she really helped me kind of, feed that curiosity and like explore. So I did a lot of independent studies. I did one in fashion, one in interiors, and I actually thought was going to CCAD to do interior design. So I've loved interiors, and I love decorating my own home and helping friends who just don't enjoy that. I even started a business like before I started this business with interior decorating. That was my path, I thought, when I went to CCAD. And luckily, at the time, CCAD was very kind of set in those foundation courses. So I really needed that to kind of build my artistic foundation, because I didn't really get that in high school.
Right.
And I think allowing me the space and awareness to just kind of, see what was around me for that year. Once I was exposed to fashion, it was all over. I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. Because,
Oh,
from a
wow.
small town, growing up on a farm, like I wasn't really, I mean, my mom did say, like, she always tells me, I would always pick out my outfit the night before school and I would ask her opinion. And, you know, that's like the
So the
kind of
seed was
planful.
there.
It was there. Yeah. I think I just didn't have the opportunity to kind of feed that and
Right.
to nurture it. So, once I got that opportunity and once I got, my eyes on that fashion program and, Brooke Hannon, rest her soul, like she was so integral in my, what gravitated me towards that program as well. She was my favorite professor. She was such a cool lady. She was so independent. I mean, she would, beautifully tailor, a jacket, or she did like golf wear design on the side.
Oh, wow.
And then she'd come in and say, and by the way, I built my back porch this week. Like all it is just math. You just have to figure it out. And, she was just so cool and so independent and so creative. So I think once I saw into that program and once I met her, I
Hmm.
was just so invested in that being my path.
Right. The world just got bigger just by
Yeah.
knowing her.
Yep.
That's
Hmm.
a fantastic story. And I always love a shout out to a teacher uh,
Oh,
because they are
I
just,
loved her so much. So
that is
much.
so
Yeah.
great. That is so
Hmm.
great. And, with that said, too, people aren't even aware of how they can affect other people. So, I mean, she may or may not have known that you kind of adopted her as a mentor
Yeah.
and as somebody to grow up to be like.
Yeah.
um, or just admire,
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's people see you, and I'm sure they are seeing you too, doing what you do as well, because you're talking to these children, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, look what she did," and
Mhm.
it's kind of what I would like to do too. Maybe it's in a different sort of business or something else, but it is absolutely possible. And I love being able to kind of expose people to different things just in that vein.
Yeah.
You talked about how you sometimes will unplug with being back outdoors, and I am a big proponent of that because I think nature is a great way to restore our minds and bodies. So, and you say get your hands dirty. So, are you into gardening? Do you do like hiking? I mean, what sort of things in the outdoors do you do now as an adult, or do you still hop on the swings occasionally?
My God. I do love a good swing. I would say probably the most common for me is so it's something my mom did with me like on her farm, and we would go in her golf cart. She would call it the garden tour, and we would just like, and her farm is like she's got a pretty big farm as well, but hers is more yeah, plant life everywhere.
Hmm.
So I do that with my girls. So like spring is our favorite time because everything's coming up.
Yeah.
And just the other day I remember like I had a really long day. Like I had back-to-back meetings and I was just feeling a little out of my window of tolerance and just a little hyped up. And so I said to my girls, they got off the bus and I was like, listen, we have a little time before I hop into the next meeting. Let's go for a garden tour. And so we kick our shoes off, we put our feet in the grass, and we just walk around our house. And I like quiz them on their, like acumen of flowers. And so I'm trying to teach them, names of flowers and when is this coming up? When is this going to bloom? Like, who can we plant next to this friend? And so I think that right now is probably the thing that it's the most tangible. I can just step out of my studio and go just be outside, listen to the birds, be in my garden. We've tried, we've tampered with like vegetables. We always do tomatoes and basil. Like that's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
My
Absolutely.
husband will eat it every day, all day.
Hmm.
Um,
Same.
but yeah, I feel like I have such a tiny backyard. I haven't really, been able to dive into like vegetables and herbs and things like that yet as much as I want to.
Hmm.
And then I would say the other thing for us is just getting out as a family. So whether it's a little hike here and there or, we're a huge sports family. So, the girls are in soccer and basketball and they want to learn softball. And my husband and I actually, I think we were still friends. And even when we were dating, we played on like 4 different co ed softball teams together. So that's, it's just a sport that we connect on and we both love. So to kind of share that with
So
them.
naturally, they're going to want to do that too.
Yes. So,
It's in the
we go
gene.
down to the middle school down the street and, get on the field and teach the girls how to hit and how to throw and stuff. So, and then honestly, just the pool, like in the summer, we're at the pool 2-3 times, over the weekend. The girls just love to swim. And it's just like, I just love sitting on the edge with a good book and just feeling the sun on my face and
Yeah.
just like unplugging because I mean, being a business owner and being, growing up in like the corporate environment that I did, like
Hmm.
it's like that a hamster wheel never stops. But
Right. Right.
in order to be more productive or more engaged or more authentic, I find that I have to unplug. Like I have to take those breaks.
Yeah, and that's great advice for everybody. Because it is so easy to get caught on that wheel too, because it starts going really fast, and it's like, well, how the hell do I jump off?
Yeah.
but but yes, do it. Maybe put a stick in there so it stops the wheel
Uh-huh.
or whatever. But yeah, you will come back not only more refreshed, but with better ideas, and you'll
Mhm.
find that actually your work's going to go a lot faster than if
Yeah.
you just sit there trying to just grind it out. So, yeah, and you gave about like 10 different tips up there about how to unplug. I'm going to so incorporate this garden tour and just refer to that as from now on as the garden tour because I just
Yes.
love it. Just go walk around your house. It doesn't take long
I know.
and
And it's
look
so
at some of the
fun.
plants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like, I've had this like mantra the last few weeks of enjoy the process.
Hmm.
So, in pretty much anything in life, like there's not really ever a destination until you're gone. And so, I feel like everybody's always trying to get somewhere.
Right.
And,
Where are we going?
I know it's like, can we just be in the moment? I mean, it's easier said than done. But yeah, it's just those things like how do we literally stop and smell the flowers, just
Yeah.
enjoy the process, like watch life grow right in front of us and take a deep breath and just be present and be grateful. So that's something that I think I've had to be far more intentful with
Hmm.
that over the last few years because that's sort of a rewiring, a mindset that
Yeah.
I didn't anticipate becoming an entrepreneur. When
Hmm.
you're in a corporate environment and I go on vacation, I'm like plugged out, like
Right.
no email. I'm not
Out of
talking to
office
these
is
people.
on. Hmm.
I'll come back to like a 500 inbox. That's fine. I don't even care. But
Hmm.
when you're a business owner, depending on where you are in your journey, like it's
Right.
not just turn it off, turn it on. Like it's continuous. And so I think it's just, really trying to find that, work life
Right. Right.
integration and not needing the break as much because you're kind of building in those mini breaks throughout your life so that you don't feel like you're spinning out of control,
Right. And the hustle is 100% real. A lot of the time. So I want people to think like, oh, every day's a vacation, because both you and I have put in our time as far as knowing how to, get stuff done. And it's in some ways, I think it's kind of fun to look back on it too and be like, look what I did. That was hard and I did it. And now I'm going to take a minute, but do know that you sometimes just do have to power through. Life is not super easy, and just with life in general and work and things like that, things do kind of pile up. But
Yeah.
there are those moments. But if you're kind of respectful and say, you know what, I got to go back to my touchstone for a minute here, but just to reset. Yeah, I think that is absolutely positively key. Your story is completely wonderful. I love that you started
Oh,
on a farm and you are where you are today. It's
yeah.
quite the journey, and I think it's going to be very helpful to a lot of people to hear it. And I'm also going to say that I'm going to have all your information in the notes to the podcast so I get a hold of you. But I would like you to take a minute to talk about who your ideal client might be. You talked about small businesses, perhaps businesses that are growing, but who would be an ideal client for you?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit it. It's definitely so I have a couple clients that are just startups.
Hmm.
So,
Like I
they just
have a piece and I got to figure out how to market it.
yep. And some of them, yeah, exactly. They just have, one idea, it's one garment. Some of them have, a general idea of like a collection or a type of brand that they want to launch. Pretty much anything in that range, we can support. And the great part about, what I do is, I started calling it my $1 million team because I work with amazing subcontractors. So they're all artists. They're all like the best, top notch in what they do in this city. I've worked with all of these folks for anywhere from, last 3 years to last 15 years because we cross paths in corporate and now we're all, kind of contractors. So I take this $1 million team. That's what it would cost if you hired the whole team full time. But that's the great part because I can support these startups or these small businesses with an experienced team, but it's more tangible from a financial commitment, a time commitment, and we all work so well together. So it's really support in that end-to-end process. It can start at the idea phase and market research and making sure that what you're creating is a need, is solving a problem, the whole design process. So we can support, sketching and design work. I have an artist that only does print and pattern. I have an artist that only does graphic design for apparel and for accessories. I have an artist that only does, labels and hang tag and marketing and packaging. And she also builds Shopify websites. So it's
Wow.
such a robust group of creatives. And then, you have to bring that idea to fruition. So I actually have a joint work partner that's located in New York, and she has been doing sourcing for 17 years. So she is the sourcing arm of my business. And if they need connections to, manufacture, we work with her and we can literally bring it from idea to product at their door. I think that is, it's a robust experience,
Mm-hmm.
but from like a contracting perspective.
Right.
So
Right.
it's tangible for these smaller companies, which is amazing.
Right.
Um, and then of course, anything a la carte, like I've actually worked with a lot of factories who just need some design work
Mm-hmm.
or they need
Mm-hmm.
some prints developed. They want, custom print development. And those are like my most cherished projects. Like I love running my business, but I've definitely recognized what I love to do and what I hope to hire someday. And for me, like the real passion projects for me are anything with research and trend and mood boards and palettes and things of that nature. And then print and pattern and graphics. Like that's just what I love. So for those type of projects, I'm like, I'll take this one, It's just so fun. We do fit support. Like I have a fit
Oh, nice.
technician. So
Nice. Yeah, that is
she,
like
I mean,
thing.
it's literally everything. It's like a turnkey design and product development team. Uh, awesome experience. And I think the biggest thing is I encounter a lot of clients that have been burned in this industry.
Oh, yeah.
So they've lost money, they've been lied to, they didn't get their deliverables. And it breaks my heart because I have really enjoyed and been so passionate about this industry for so long. But I was at one or two corporate companies for the majority of my,
Mm-hmm.
corporate
Mm-hmm.
careers. Like getting exposed to more of this small business and startup space and just how people can be taken advantage of. Like it is my mission to lead with truth and authenticity and to just, help these people get to where they're going with genuine support because these people are bootstrapping, they might have an investor. Like this
Right.
isn't, corporate money just being thrown around. I mean, these are people's life savings potentially. So, I think definitely over the last year, I've really tried to, increase my client experience and like that client journey because, again, it goes back to the yoga. Like I just want to bring ease and harmony. Like I can bring the ease and harmony to a process that, for most people kind of coming into this space for the first time is probably just so overwhelming.
Absolutely.
So,
And competitive. I mean, that's where people kind of get burned too. It's just, that competitiveness, how far do you go? Where do
yeah.
you stop? Things
Yeah.
like that. And again, it would be great to have somebody who's been there, walk along that path with you. And that is you, Amanda.
Yes. Yeah, I know. And when things hit the fan, so to speak, and you feel paralyzed, like I've had a couple of those with some clients over the last few months, and it's like, actually, this isn't a
This
total
isn't a
huge
big
deal.
deal. Yeah.
Like we can just go over here and fix this little thing, but we can keep moving on these things, like it's not the end of the world. And to just kind of bring, again, some ease and comfortability around those situations, and just to know they have a support partner to really kind of
Hmm.
take them through that whole process. It's really kind of become like my life's mission to, just help these folks in their journey and, make it a celebratory kind of journey rather than scary and unknown and anxious, So yeah, it's really just it's been awesome to
Yeah.
just kind
It
of
sounds
figure
super
it all out.
rewarding. And I'm glad you're out there helping people, just basically guide them down the path to achieve their dream, really.
Yeah. Yep.
So that
Yeah.
is awesome. Well, thank you again for so much for doing this. Like I said, actually, I think you're going to help my guests way more than I even thought,
That's
because
amazing.
we have covered so much,
Yeah.
and I think you, like I said, you contributed a lot of thoughts, and I think things that will help them get more zen regarding whatever um, path they're taking. I mean, it doesn't have to be fashion. A lot of what you said can be applied to just about anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you for
All
your
about life experience.
exactly, exactly. So thank you so much for your wisdom. And again, I'll have all your information available. But thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much, Catherine. This was amazing. I appreciate it.